crisis, at least he has managed to recover trust, to regain trust, confidence in politics, because our problems are purely political, and without trust in politics, in policymakers, we can never find the necessary answers. And he has managed to do that internally, nationally, vis-a-vis the local and foreign investors, and of course, these in the bilateral relations with the foreign governments. So in a new atmosphere, in a new environment favorable to investment, he has brought about admirable results. Allow me just to share with you a figure, the 7% increase of GDP in just the first quarter of this year. And again, that was so difficult to expect and to forecast amidst the crisis we have been experiencing. And thanks to the recovery of that trust, we have welcomed many German companies in Greece, and it is the foundation, the breeding ground to give a new prospect for employees, especially in the sector of technology, in order to reverse the brain drain phenomenon and trend. And so here I am. I would like to give back the floor to our moderator, Eric Toka, who is also coordinating the Επιχειρείτε action. But of course, the action is being managed by an entire working team. Together with her, we have Haris Patsis. He is in charge of education. Sakis Peivis is in charge of clustering, pillar. But we also have with us three excellent partners of our secretariat. That is Spyros Vassiliou, in charge of the development law, Mrs. Konstantinou for commerce, and Fodoris Alexiou for gastronomy and tourism. And so I would like to thank you all. Thank you very much. I believe I have been adequately concise.
Thank you so much, Secretary. I think that we have delivered time-wise. I think that Martha will be better. Let us call Mrs. Kondodemon, who is Project Manager of Konrad Adenauer Stiftung for Greece and Cyprus. Thank you so much. Thank you, my dear Akis Bafas. Thank you so much. Thank you for this cooperation. Konrad Adenauer Stiftung is a German political system institution that has been present in Greece for the last 10 years. I can tell you that during the last year, it has been an intense year of collaboration, synergies between different parts of the government, which wants to enhance extroversion, wants to materialize actions, wants to be in favor of entrepreneurship. We're pretty glad about it because a part of our job is to build bridges of communication, bridges of exchange of knowledge, build bridges between Greece and Germany. When it comes to our part, what we would like to tell you and what we are trying to achieve together, jointly with the Secretariat of Productive Sectors, which has delivered a lot lately, especially when it comes to extroversion, is to enhance these discussions which demonstrate good practices. They can show what we have been able to achieve, what were the problems, how we solved them, because it's quite nice to say that there are problems, but there have been solutions which are obvious. We need to promote them. Thus, people could get the good example, mimic it in the way that they can. This will be the end. I try to be very brief, yes, because I believe that it would be more important to listen straight away all the other speakers who are going to show exactly that, how they solve problems, especially during the quarantine and the COVID eras. This was their daily routine. This was the determinant of different partnerships, especially between the two countries, which I believe that shortly will be able to evolve, especially in the field of the EU, exponentially. I wish you all the best, and I wish us all a productive dialogue. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Mrs. Kondodemon. We shall move on with the MEP of New Democracy, and Michelle Asimakopoulou. Mrs. Asimakopoulou couldn't be with us physically, but we can watch a video. She can convey her message. Let us watch the video now.
Καλησπέρα σας από το Ευρωπαϊκό Κοινοβούλιο στις Βρυξέλλες. Ευχαριστώ από καρδιάς για την πρόσκληση στη σημερινή σας εκδήλωση. Είμαι πολύ χαρούμενη που αυτή η εκδήλωση πραγματοποιείται στην ιδιαίτερη πατρίδα και στην αφετηρία μου, την πολιτική, τα αγαπημένα μου Γιάννενα. Θα ήθελα πολύ να βρίσκομαι κοντά σας, δυστυχώς όμως οι υποχρεώσεις μου εδώ στο Κοινοβούλιο δεν μου το επιτρέπουν. Καταρχάς, συγχαρητήρια στους διοργανωτές, Γραμματεία Παραγωγικών Τομέων της Νέας Δημοκρατίας, το Ίδρυμα Konrad Adenauer Stiftung. Εξαιρετική πρωτοβουλία αυτή η εκδήλωση για την επιχειρηματικότητα και την καινοτομία. Άλλωστε, μετά την πανδημική κρίση που συνατάραξε θέμελα το εμπόριο σε όλο τον κόσμο, διανύουμε εκ νέου μια περίοδο με πολλές προκλήσεις για το επιχειρήν. Μέσα από τις πρωτόγνωρες συνθήκες όμως αυτές, διαπιστώσαμε πως οι οικονομίες μας, για να είναι ανθεκτικές και αυτόνομες, πρέπει να επενδύουν στην πρωτοπορία, πρέπει να επενδύουν στην καινοτομία. Είναι ολοφάνερο ότι επενδύοντας στην καινοτομία, επενδύουμε στο μέλλον της πατρίδας μας και η κυβέρνηση του Κυριάκου Μητσοτάκη επενδύει στις καινοτόμες επιχειρήσεις, ενισχύοντας και αναπτύσσοντας την εξωστρέφειά τους. Το Elevate Greece, για παράδειγμα, είναι μια σπουδαία πρωτοβουλία της κυβέρνησής μας. Μια σύγχρονη και πολύ λειτουργική ψηφιακή πύλη, μέσω της οποίας οι νεοφυείς επιχειρήσεις αποκτούν το δικό τους οικοσύστημα καινοτομίας. Επιπλέον, ο δημόσιος και ο ιδιωτικός τομέας συνεργάζονται αξιοποιώντας κάθε ευκαιρία δικτύωσης για να κερδίσουμε τις διεθνείς αγορές και η Ελλάδα να αναδειχθεί ως ένα κέντρο καινοτομίας, όχι μόνο στην νοτιοανατολική Ευρώπη, αλλά και παγκοσμίως. Οι επενδύσεις στην έρευνα και την καινοτομία αποτελούν επένδυση και για το αύριο της Ευρώπης. Μας βοηθούν να είμαστε ανταγωνιστικοί σε παγκόσμιο επίπεδο και να διατηρήσουμε το μοναδικό κοινωνικό μοντέλο μας. Βελτιώνουν την καθημερινή ζωή εκατομμυρίων ανθρώπων σε ολόκληρο τον κόσμο, συμβάλλοντας στην επίλυση μεγάλων κοινωνικών προκλήσεων. Σε αυτό το πλαίσιο, ρόλο κλειδί καλείται να παίξει η τεχνητή νοημοσύνη, η οποία ξεκλειδώνει τεράστιες ευκαιρίες. Σύμφωνα με μια πρόσφατη μελέτη της McKinsey, οι εταιρείες που χρησιμοποιούν τεχνητή νοημοσύνη θα αυξήσουν τις ταμειακές τους ροές πάνω από 120% έως το 2030. Είναι λοιπόν ζωτικής σημασίας η Ευρώπη να κάνει γρήγορα και απαραίτητα βήματα για να ανταποκριθεί στις οικονομικές και κοινωνικές προκλήσεις που θα φέρει η τεχνητή νοημοσύνη τα επόμενα χρόνια. Σε αυτήν λοιπόν την κατεύθυνση εργαζόμαστε και εδώ στο Ευρωπαϊκό Κοινοβούλιο, αλλά και στην πολιτική μου οικογένεια, στο Ευρωπαϊκό Λαϊκό Κόμμα, με μια σειρά νομοθετικών πρωτοβουλειών που στοχεύουν στην ισορροπία ανάμεσα στη μείωση των κινδύνων από τη χρήση της τεχνητής νοημοσύνης, στη μέγιστη αξιοποίηση των δυνατοτήτων που προσφέρει, αλλά και στην προστασία των ευρωπαϊκών μας αρχών και αξιών. Έτσι, η πρόταση κανονισμού σχετικά με τον καθορισμό εναρμονισμένων κανόνων για τη τεχνητή νοημοσύνη της Επιτροπής αποτελεί το πρώτο νομοθετικό πλαίσιο παγκοσμίως για την τεχνητή νοημοσύνη. Με την πρόταση αυτή θέτουμε ως στόχο τη δημιουργία ενός οικοσυστήματος εμπιστοσύνης των Ευρωπαίων πολιτών στα συστήματα τεχνητής νοημοσύνης, αλλά και ένα σταθερό πλαίσιο για να διευκολυνθεί η ανάπτυξη της ενιαίας αγοράς για νόμιμα, ασφαλή και αξιόπιστα συστήματα τεχνητής νοημοσύνης. Πρόσφατα, μάλιστα, είχαμε τη χαρά να οργανώσουμε μια άκρως ενδιαφέρουσα διαδικτυακή συνάντηση μεταξύ των μελών της Ομάδας για την Τεχνητή Νοημοσύνη του τομέα ηλεκτρονικής διακυβέρνησης και ψηφιακού μετασχηματισμού της Νέας Δημοκρατίας και της Ειδικής Ομάδας Εμπειρογνωμόνων για την Ψηφιακή Πολιτική του Ευρωπαϊκού Λαϊκού Κόμματος, όπου τα μέλη της ομάδας αυτής της Νέας Δημοκρατίας είχαν την ευκαιρία να τοποθετηθούν σχετικά με το νομοσχέδιο. Η Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση στηρίζει και ενθαρρύνει την καινοτομία και την πρωτοπορία μέσα από σπουδαίες πρωτοβουλίες όπως είναι το πρόγραμμα Horizon Europe, με budget 95,5 δισεκατομμύρια ευρώ, το οποίο αποτελεί το κυριότερο χρηματοδοτικό εργαλείο της Ευρώπης για την έρευνα και την καινοτομία. Το Horizon Europe αποσκοπεί στο να συνδέσει την έρευνα και καινοτομία με 6 βασικές ευρωπαϊκές προτεραιότητες: την αντιμετώπιση της κλιματικής αλλαγής, τον ψηφιακό μετασχηματισμό των κοινωνιών, την ευημερία και ασφάλεια των πολιτών και την προστασία της ευρωπαϊκής δημοκρατίας. Κλείνοντας, να σημειώσω ότι η καινοτομία αποτελεί βασικό παράγοντα για την οικονομική μας πρόοδο, δίνοντας στους νέους μας τις ευκαιρίες που δικαιούνται για να έχουν το μέλλον που τους αξίζει. Η καινοτομία μπορεί να γίνει μοχλός και για την ανάπτυξη της γυναικείας επιχειρηματικότητας. Ας μην ξεχνάμε πως η καινοτομία είναι γένους θηλυκού. Σας ευχαριστώ.
Wonderful news by Mrs. Makopoulou. And right now, I would like to give the floor to Mrs. Lena Stamati, the President of the Senate Committee of Constituency, to address this conference. Thank you. Mrs. Stamati, you have the floor, please. Minister, dear representatives in the European Parliament and in the European Parliament, dear members of the local administration, dear friends of productive sectors of democracy, dear friends. The action Επιχειρείτε by the Secretariat of Productive Sectors of New Democracy is an action that has as main objective the constant empowerment of businesses, factors of the economy, but broadly speaking, of every creative person. It aspires to alleviate any suspicious character vis-à-vis financing, as financing is the main trigger for tomorrow. Our aspiration for Ioannina, for Ηπείρου, is to mobilize local society towards the creation and towards the entrepreneurial discovery and growth in modern terms of synergies and extroversion. Thus, we can finalize the implementation of the vision of new democracy for a regional development model. Besides, it's very important the change that was brought to Greece in the field of productive sectors during the last 3 years, as through new democracy government, we restored the notion of trust, both when it comes to us domestically, but also when it comes to the image of our country towards international investors. Let me remind you that there are always possibilities to get better or simplify bureaucratic procedures that will help greatly Ηπείρου's region to attract investments. By way of conclusion, I would like to highlight the important growth rate in our country for 2022. Thus, Greece will rank at the top of the Eurozone, combined with the importance to attract private investments during the last year. I do welcome you to Ioannina, and I wish you all the best with your conference. Now, please, if I may, I will read a brief address by Mr. Stavros Kalogiannis, who unfortunately couldn't attend this conference. Dear Secretary, thank you so much for this invitation to attend the very interesting conference organized by the Secretariat of Productive Sectors in New Democracy on entrepreneurship and innovation. We cannot discuss about entrepreneurship or innovation or growth without mentioning an organization or rather a beautiful reception of businesses. This conference is giving to me the ability to highlight once again the need to create a technopolis at the basin of Ioannina. Let me remind you that this technopolis is stipulated under the regulatory plan of Ioannina, close to the hub of Pedini at the university. It is included in the urban plan of our open city of the former Byzantium municipality. It is also included in the revised regional plan of the region of Ηπείρου. The above was mentioned to the local bodies, the region of Ηπείρου, the municipality of Ioannina, the University of Ioannina, the chambers, the ministries. Furthermore, I have proposed before the Hellenic Parliament to include the Technopolis of Ioannina as an investment into the fourth axis of the National Growth Plan, entitled Private Investments and Institutional Transformation. Through my proposal, I do want to contribute to the creation of a technopolis because I do believe that this will be the key, both for the attraction of new high-tech investments and specialized in scientists, and for the rebirth of the basin of Ioannina. A prerequisite is a management authority and the development of technopolis where all stakeholders should participate. The establishment of this body is the first step for planning, delimitation, and building of this technopolis. Dear Secretary, my obligations in Athens coming from the conference at the Committee of the Financial Bills of the Ministry of the Economy, based on the casino of Ellinikon and the shipyards, do not allow me to be with you. I do congratulate you for this initiative, and I wish you all the best with your conference. Yours, Stavros Kalogiannis. Thank you so much, Mrs. Tamati, for that. Normally now on the agenda we had the president of ONED, Iωάννη, Mr. Neophytos Kalaidis. Unfortunately, he had some professional obligations, thus he couldn't be with us. But he will be with us tomorrow because we have 3 plant visits in some businesses, as well as to the orphanage of Rahani, where there have been some donations on behalf of the Secretariat that, of course, will continue tomorrow. Today, we had 3 visits in different businesses. At this point, I would like, first of all, to deeply thank, on behalf of the Secretariat of Productive Sectors, Mr. Amiras, for his immediate positive response to this invitation to support Επιχειρείτε activity and this first event that we are having in Iωάννη. Mr. Amiras, the Minister of the Environment, will address the keynote speech. You have the floor.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. Welcome to this first event, which, as far as I can understand, will be followed by others. Investment, entrepreneurship, and innovation in Ioannina is indeed the ideal place, for it is at the forefront of these 3 parts of a chain which leads to a sound economy. When it comes to annual investment, this is a discussion we have had for long years. We were talking about investment in the past with so many reactions because of obsessions, because of PT party politics, and of course, great misinformation. I suppose you're all familiar with the story with the Indians and meteorologists. It is September, fall, and the Indians go to a meteorologist to ask about the winter time, the winter weather. They were told that it will be cold, so they go out and they have some timber for their home, and then they go again in December, and the meteorologist says it will be very, very cold, more than what it has been today. They again get timber and so on and so forth. Third time, the meteorologist says it will be very, very, very cold. It will be freezing. And then the assistant of the meteorologist asks him, how can you forecast? But can you see the Indians, how much timber do they collect? This is exactly how the vicious circle of discussing about investment was going on in the past. There are endless examples about how the Greek economy was relying on the state-financed capitalism. The sound economies were asphyxiating and the sound companies, and we have seen the results. The numerous businesses closing one after the other, the default of the country, but also the difficulties of the Greek companies to progress and to prosper and to flourish, with a very negative impact on employees and citizens. As, for example, Ellinikon. The Ellinikon for 20 years was there in a plot, and it was the object of petty party politics and missed opportunities. But of course, I remember, and I will later thoroughly address the Επιχειρείτε action, but probably you will remember a consultant of the then Prime Minister Tsipras, who wanted investors to flee the country, to leave the country. So how can we even expect for the young talents to try to find a job in the sound private economy? So that mindset cannot change overnight, but thankfully the government of Kyriakos Mitsotakis has taken leaps. We have effectively contrasted bureaucracy, rigidities, And now the young people are the leaders, those who study, those who really want to build something, to create something. Because, of course, today the world is different from the one we were living in 20, 30 years ago. Sustainability is at the center of entrepreneurship and innovation. Sustainability refers to the simple rule that we cannot afford to waste or to consume more natural resources than the ones which can be renewed by the nature. So there are new opportunities for sound entrepreneurship, and the steps taken by the government in Mitsotakis are stable. On the one hand, we have RRF. We also have the new NSRF. From the RRF, already there has been a real flow of part of the 36 million euro into the economy, and for the next 5 years, and for SMEs especially, the NSRF will earmark 5 billion euros. When it comes to Ηπείρου, our neighborhood in particular, here there is the ROP, the Regional Operational Program, which through NSRF will absorb 420 million euro, which is not bad, right? It is a great springboard to channel this money to research, innovation, contrast of climate change. And in brackets, allow me to say that we at the Ministry of the Environment, we no longer talk about climate change, we talk about climate crisis. I keep on reiterating that climate collapse, which is the term which will follow, will be irreversible. So the ROP of the region of Ηπείρου intends to promote sustainable spatial development. We recently have approved the impact assessment, the environmental impact assessment of this program, and so there are great prospects in Ηπείρου. But of course, key for sound entrepreneurships are, on the one hand, just payments for an employee to contribute and to provide the added value need to be well paid. And the second key factor is for the companies to safeguard and protect the environment. Having said that, amidst an unprecedented geopolitical crisis, we have seen everything since 3 years. We experienced a pandemic. For 2.5 years, we were threatened by a virus, bearing masks, with the terror of interacting, and a war in Europe. This barbaric invasion of Russia in a sovereign state. Who could envisage the energy inflation shock, which of course affects everyone? Our government, of course, has activated funds amounting to 8.5 billion euro to support households, businesses. And here we are, the Greek citizens, when there is a level playing field, exceed expectations. In 2021, according to the most recent statistics, direct investments, foreign direct investments in this country, and this means that a foreign business, a foreign investor directly comes to the Greek market, to the Greek economy, and invest. So these direct investments in 2021 amounted approximately to $6.5 billion, which is a record figure since 1991. What does this show? It shows that the foreign investors are starting having trust, feeling confidence in the Greek system, and the change is tangible. For example, in salaries, in the kind of new jobs created. What for a long time was at stake, but was not achieved. According to the most recent data at the European Union in 2021, direct foreign investments decreased by 34%. In Greece, indeed, we had an 8% increase. These figures would have been very difficult to believe some years ago, but this is reality. This is the ruthless truth of figures. So you know how many companies have come to Greece: Pfizer, Amazon, JP Morgan, Facebook. And the countries which prefer Greece to invest is France, Switzerland, UK, Cyprus, the Netherlands, China and Canada. And of course, I would like to make some reference to the Greek startups. They signal, they mark the future, because many of them turn into giants. In 2021, approximately 600 million euro were invested in these small startup companies. So ideas conceived by someone who, because of the lack of funds, could not implement. Here we have again an incubator, a greenhouse in which seeds will give rise to trees for people who activate, who manage to see their dreams come true, thanks to those investments. And the investment environment is changing. Here in Ηπείρου, in Iωάννη, we can see Zagori or Vikos, big companies, or Vikos and Zagori, which are leaders in their industry, investing in modernization and in extension of their operation abroad. But we can also see SMEs. This afternoon, together with the Productive Sector Secretariat, we visited some companies, as for example, Παραγωγική Γεωργιάδη, a handmade, I would call it, company. The first generation started in 1963 with a chamber, just a chamber with 1,000 poultry items. Now they have more than doubled. So the Greek success story may be everywhere. We have Natec, the company which creates IT solutions, one of the few in the world, less than 10 if I'm not wrong, at the world level, which are operating in this very demanding sector. And their effort did not start yesterday. Since many years, the effort has been made, which means that the citizens of Ηπείρου have a vision. They are long-sighted. And of course, we have German companies, TeamViewer, PNI, BestSecret, which have created the technological hub here. And this shows that our city is a pole of attraction, with a great contribution of our talent from the university. We have excellent scholars, scientists graduating from our universities, able to compete internationally. So I would like to grasp this opportunity to congratulate Akis, here you are, to the Secretariat of New Democracy, as well as Eridokas, the soul of the action Επιχειρείτε, for today's discussion about investments, entrepreneurship, and innovation is the conditio sine qua non for a territory to prosper. Now, I would like to make some reference to bureaucracy, which has been affecting us all. Mr. Kachimanis, the regional governor with whom we cooperate on forestry, knows what I mean. So bureaucracy is indeed a trap for any society. But Kyriakos Mitsotakis has a very clear vision in that today. The Greek Parliament is, upon the second reading of our draft bill on licensing of RES, of renewable energy sources. For RES to be licensed in the past required from 5 to 14 years. And so who is the investor who would feel safe in investing in a country that has so much red tape? Now, here we are attempting to reduce licensing time to 14 months, while at the same time we enforce transparency through the digitization of all procedures, processes, and of course other sectors of the economy. But nothing of all that would matter if we viewed them outside the environment in which they develop. And what I mean by that, the natural environment. What we have in this country is our natural environment. This is our strength, which is why we have decided, together with the Prime Minister, to draft the first national climate law. It was passed some weeks ago. This law, again, was an offspring of the work done by our ministry, and it provides for some steps which are worth stressing, especially for entrepreneurs. So the law promotes a change of mindset at the states. We allow local governments to be active in contrasting climate crisis. We lay emphasis on buildings and transport. From 2030 onwards, most of the vehicles in our country will be electric. Full stop. This means that we will, of course, save money, especially the companies which have significant fleets, but also the individuals. But then, of course, we will live in a cleaner environment. And something we have probably not realized, we will have less noise on the streets. I recently went to New York after many years on the occasion of a UN session on forest, and I addressed what we are doing with forests in Greece. And I would like to tell you that the situation was so drastically different. The slogan of New York, that it is a city which never sleeps, is not true anymore, because the many vehicles circulating on the streets are electric, and many car manufacturers have recorded the noise produced by a car to be broadcast externally in order for the pedestrians to know a car is coming. And there are some other steps, important steps we provide for in our law, as, for example, the compulsory installation of PVs in companies and infrastructure as of 1st January 2023 for any new license. And this is very important. Something extremely important, we have the Greco Islands, the Green Islands. We started with Chalki, followed by Astypalia, and now through the climate law for each and every small island, we are preparing programs for the green transition. And do you know how much this will matter for our country? In the 80s, we were opting for accommodation in our holidays, relying on the criteria whether there was a TV or not. In the 90s, we would select where the location of our holidays, depending on whether there was an air conditioner in the room. In the 2000s, yet another criterion was added, Wi-Fi. Today, there is a huge number of tourists, of visitors, who select accommodation and locations only if the latter use rationally the national resources. And this is a huge cultural change, a change of mindset, which forces companies to change the way they act, they operate, they view things, and of course, to benefit from that. We at the Ministry of the Environment, through the climate law, are attempting to do yet another thing. We have adopted the following safety clause. Even the very last euro, which will be earmarked by the RRF or any other European program, needs to take into due consideration mitigation of the consequences of the climate crisis and carbon neutrality. And Greece is a pioneer here, because we could not, of course, disregard the energy footprint of investments. Investments are good not because of their high ROI, but especially when they safeguard the environment in which they grow and they develop. So any small effort to improve ecosystems, habitats, wild fauna and flora, and a success in this sector will lead us to a win situation when it comes to contrasting climate change. And I would like very concisely to list some other reforms we are promoting. For example, the unwalked mountains, that is, mountains which, as we inherited from our ancestors, we will give to our children. We started with the 6 highest mountains, with Smolikas, Tymfi, South on Samothraki, Lefkaori in Crete, Taigetos, and of course Hadji in Thessalia. Shortly, we will announce that Agrafa will also be part of that, as well as some mountains in Rhodope, and another 55 mountains will follow. So we have prohibited the creation of roads in these mountains, with a view to protecting biodiversity. We want to protect the natural habitats from the anthropogenic environment, and also to promote ecotourism, mild tourism, which is very promising indeed in terms of revenue. If I ask you, what do you believe is the most profitable activity? Most of you, I'm sure, would answer recreational tourism, what we all are familiar with and what we are doing. Have our holidays in summer, during summer. No, allow me to say that indeed it would be, what would you want to guess? Walking? Well, close to that. Spa, experiential tourism, religious? No. Mountaineering? No. What type of tourism do you believe that is the first in profitability? Agritourism? Well, allow me to tell you, it is bird watching. Bird watching. And do you know why? Because, bird watchers select a location with a rich avifauna, and they do not stay there only for a couple of days. They stay there 20 days because they don't know whether the bird they're interested in will appear on the first day or on the last day. And so just imagine the huge potential of this sector here in Ηπείρου. Second activity is golf. And this may be probably more expected. And so the unwalked mountains is an unprecedented case study in Europe. Europe has not dared to take such a step. The US, in 1995, started designing their own unwalked mountains and managed to do so under so many litigation between the states and the federal court in 2012. We managed to do so in just 1 year. And we did yet another thing. And certainly here, this is very promising for innovation and smart entrepreneurship, mild, sustainable, green entrepreneurship. The reform we are preparing is called 1,000 Virgin Beaches. So we will select 1,000 beaches which are untouched by human intervention. We will protect them in a regime of full protection with a view to allowing a huge number of international visitors to come and see these virgin beaches. Innovation and entrepreneurship may also be at the forefront when it comes to blue economy. Blue economy, yes. The Mediterranean knows that very well. In September, we participated in the IUCN conference in Marseille. The French have an initiative entitled the Mediterranean, an exemplary. We do participate in this initiative, and we have been cooperating with other competent ministries in order to protect 30% of Greek seas, 1/3 out of which will be defined as fully and exclusively protected. Why? In order to allow the fish stocks to come back. According to international practices, a very strict protection of marine areas, although at the beginning may give rise to reactions for fishermen, etc., have a multiplier effect on local communities because this gives the opportunity to the sea to renew itself. And there's the national plan of reforestation. Greece, or rather the Greek state, the public administration, last organized a reforestation campaign in 1990. So that was the very last time the Greek state made an organized plan of reforestation. We have already committed more than 200 million euro from RRF. For the next 4 years, we will plant approximately 25 million trees. And we do that certainly to reinvigorate the forest ecosystems, but also because polluting today costs much. Many argue, why have you decided to speed up phasing out of lignite? To protect us all, of course, but also because there is the emission exchange. If the PPC generates 1 ton of emissions, it will have to pay, or rather it had to pay 3 years ago. When I remember Mitsotakis, when he promised to speed up the lignite phasing out. Cost less than 75. Today it costs approximately 75 to 120 euro per ton. And so many are blaming Mitsotakis for having decided to accelerate the phasing out of lignite. Although we have decided to make a shift towards cleaner, low-cost energy, especially now in this conjuncture with this energy crisis, how important it is to make use of of renewable energy sources. We have wind, we have geothermic potential, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, Greece is on another page, on another chapter. Nothing reminds the Greece of the past. Kyriakos Mitsotakis' government will continue to bring forward its reforms. We want to attract investments in digital transformation, in the transformation of agriculture, cattle breeding, areas, entrepreneurship, and innovation. I would like, once again, to thank the Επιχειρείτε Action and the Secretariat of Productive Sectors of New Democracy, and I would like to reiterate that investment is not a bad thing. What is bad is not to have investments. There has been a brainwash here in Greece how bad investors are, who come here to take things from us. We need to keep safe from these fake news which tend to disorient us. Of course, we need to honor our traditions, our heritage, our link with the past, but with our eyes to the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Amiras. Minister, you were very eloquent. I believe you said it all. What can I comment on all these? Indeed, innovation in businesses goes around digital transformation and green transition on the axis that you put it on. We shall try all these different parameters to be set at the center, at the heart of our action, Επιχειρείτε, and mobilize Greek society towards entrepreneurship. What you said at the end, that is, trust different notions, the notions of investments, private capitals, private markets. Imagine that in the Hellenic University, it's very important to talk about the product without any suspicion. Let us move on with the next panel, where we welcome Mr. Marcus Wagner, Vice President of TeamViewer, Mr. Iωάννης Τσιλιμπάρης, Rep of this company, Mr. Nαυρόζογλου, President CEO of NATEC SA, and Mrs. Mιχαέλα Μπαλή, Director of German Trade for Greece and Cyprus, who is going to moderate this first part of this discussion on innovation and entrepreneurship. Mrs. Bali, you have the floor. Thank you so much. Director for Greece and Cyprus, the lady for the German organization to promote investment, German Trade and Investors, the respective German organization of Enterprise Greece in Greece. Today I'm here to have a very brief presentation and to speak to our dear guests, to German businesses which invested in Greece and to Greek business which invested in Germany. Many things have been said about innovation, entrepreneurship, but what are the main problems for a company when it wants to invest or start an investment? It will be very interesting what we're going to listen, not about the topics or the issues, but the main problems. First of all, bureaucracy. All businesses need less bureaucracy. Then they need a simpler taxation system. They need better access to capital, subsidies, better access to funding, venture capitals, etc. They want better access to HR and better networking amongst the businesses. We could say that this was replied by Greek businesses in research, yet this was replied by Germans The same problems exist in Germany. A research that was conducted this spring by the Central Union of German Chambers and German businesses in Germany are facing the exact same problems with the ones that we are facing here. It is true that since 2019, the Greek government has taken significant steps towards the good direction. Many things have been said before. The German government, respectively, because now we have a new German government since September, but there are plans to simplify all these procedures to motivate entrepreneurship in Greece. We have the RRF, which was mentioned before by the minister. There is also the NSRF and the new development bill and the strategic investment law. All these tools facilitate investments, mainly when it comes to innovation that we focus on today. Innovation means that small businesses and SMEs, of course, large firms are included, but frequently they are more advanced even before the necessary capitals. The small business and SMEs are encouraged to digitize and modernize procedures of production, their products, introduce new technologies to produce products which are going to be innovative or use innovative procedures, cooperate with other businesses, for instance, German businesses with German businesses to have a convey of know-how. German is iconic in that, or cooperate with innovative German businesses. Many projects will take place, public projects will take place for broadband, which is a big issue at the European level. If you compare countries when it comes to penetration of broadbanding, a big issue that also is of paramount importance for Iωάννη now, as I learned. The EU average is 100, Greece has 59, Germany 95.6. Another sector where money will be given is to acquire digital skills by employees. If we see the percentage or the score of Greece vis-a-vis the EU average, 63.6, and Germany is at 136. Things should be done with having handed tools to materialize things. The issue is to use these tools properly. It has to be bold enough. Small business and SMEs should be bold enough here in Ioannina and in the broader region. They should deal with the topic. They should not be afraid of touching upon it. They should go to the banks, to the chambers, to the ones that they trust, to the whom they can trust, and then they could give them some piece of advice to use these tools. It is a pity to have all this money and this will go in vain or use it at the very last moment in vain again. There are possibilities. Be bold enough. Follow innovation. Follow the tide. Because if you don't change, you will have no future. And of course, these companies that I have here with me will have a bright future. We have with us innovative companies. We have with us a German TeamViewer software company. We have BestSecret Hellas company, again a software company, and Natec. As I understood, you know all three of them. And indeed, it is very innovative, the creation of software. I will start the discussion with Mr. Markus Wagner, who is Vice President Engineering for the company TeamViewer. TeamViewer came to Greece in January 2020. I will now shift and go into English to discuss with Mr. Wagner. Now, I hope that you shall understand. If not, please raise your hand so that I can update you on what we have said.
I switch to English now, so as we can talk. As I said, Mr. Markus Wagner is Vice President Engineering of TeamViewer. TeamViewer is a leading IT support software, which came in January 2020 to Greece. So, Mr. Wagner, how did you decide to come to Greece? Why Greece?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for being here and for the invitation. It's really a pleasure to be here on the stage. And yeah, I mean, it's a very good question. I mean, at that point in time, we were looking at a new R&D hub for our company so that we can continue our growth and we can strengthen our R&D department. And we were looking I think about whole Europe, because it's under the umbrella of the GDPR topic, and so it was important to open a new location in Europe. And of course, we were looking for a city which was not yet overrun for, let's say, tech companies, so where we can also kind of get very fast into the market, increase our headcount. And in the end, then Ioannina convinced us, and we're very happy to be here.
So you would do it again?
Yes, of course, definitely. So also because of the reason that, as I said, we were explicitly looking for a city where we get good talents, especially here the university is a really good source for new people, for talented people, and of course also what was very important for us for the future outlook, so that we explicitly also saw the vision for Ioannina, the city, that there is a clear vision also for especially tech companies to support them also from the political side. And also, for example, if we give the, let's say, tech park, that it makes it more attractive for us to increase here the investment for the future.
Και κάπως έτσι τα Ιωάννα άρχιζαν να γίνονται hub για τα software.
Thus, Ioannina became a hub of software. And this is how Ioannina evolves into a very good hub for software. It's not just TeamViewer. Some other companies are coming along, but let's see.
Yeah, to be honest, not that much as far as I remember. So I would say just smaller bureaucratic hiccups like opening a bank account and so on. But I think you would always have this if you open a new location in a new country. They don't have experience in it. So I would say in general it was very smooth.
About opening a banking account, Mr. Navrozoglou will also tell us some things later. About Germany, but okay, yes. Bureaucracy, as I said, is always and everywhere a big problem. And yes, we all know TeamViewer, maybe not all of you, but most of us. We know TeamViewer from a small icon on our desktop, which is a remote access tool. So I have a problem. I call the technicians, yes, okay, enter into TeamViewer, and I can see what you are doing and what's going wrong. But now TeamViewer has not only these things. TeamViewer is very innovative. And Mr. Wagner, I have heard something about magic glasses. Will you explain it to us?
Yes, maybe we will start with our beginning in the journey. So as you correctly said, we were very well known because of our remote control capability, where all of the things started. Because I think one of the success factors that we are so prominent was that we're offering free usage from our products for private usage. And exactly as you said, in the last years, as we were one of the market leaders in remote support, we thought, okay, how we can increase our product portfolio in the sense of further increasing our vision and improving our vision by connecting anybody at any time, at anywhere. And so there, for example, one good example is smart classes, where we introduced our TeamViewer Frontline suite, which allows companies with a frontline employees to have smart classes, let's say magic classes, where they get all the information on their classes to kind of fulfill the job in a better efficient way. And so, yes, this is one of the examples what we increased in the last years.
Για να το καταλάβουμε, είναι γυαλιά τα οποία έχουν μέσα ένα software.
To make it simple, these are glasses with an embedded software. And when an employee wears these glasses, they can see what it is in the warehouse, they can get it, and then this is deleted by the records. It's truly advanced. We've seen that in movies. Exactly, quite right. Mr. Τσιλιμπάρης talked about augmented reality.
And you're working together with SAP.
Yes, correct. I mean, in general, we have a lot of partners, but I think at this days, SAP is one of the most prominentest one. And therefore, exactly, we collaborate with them in the AR space so that we integrated our TeamViewer Frontline solution directly in the SAP suite so that customers who already have SAP in their company in place can easily deploy now our TeamViewer AR solution to their employees and really easily roll them out.
Very impressive. And I have heard also about something co-browsing for online shops. Online shops, very, very important also in Corona, not only in times of Corona, it's very important. So what is this co-browsing?
Yes, this is the next solution what we introduced in the last years, which serves the B2C use case. That means companies who interact with their customers in the digital world, like on their websites, online shops, and so on, need some consultation, need some support. And they're one of our core pieces, what we have, where we are really proud, is the co-browsing solution, which allows the customers easily to share the screen on their websites. So in the digital world where you don't have your device and your PC and you don't want to download and so on, just one click, no installation, no download, and having more or less the same capabilities like of the TeamViewer remote control support, like you install and download.
You are very innovative. How would you rate the openness of the Greek companies towards innovation?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, in general, we have a lot of Greek companies, customers who are always looking to kind of improve their digital processes and having more efficiency. And maybe let's explain this with a good example. I think the best example is the Coca-Cola bottling company, who already deployed our TeamViewer frontline solution to kind of support their frontline workers in their logistics centers, to kind of give them all the informations through the smart glasses that they kind of be more efficient and be more accurate in their picking ordering.
Thank you. And one last question. We are here in Ioannina and most of your employees are from Ioannina. As we were talking before, and it's very important to have also the culture of TeamViewer so as to work for this company. Are you happy with your employees?
Yes, of course. So as I said, we already increased our headcount since the last two years heavily. So I think we started with 18 employees. Now we are about 50. And we have very good talent here, and we are happy to increase our efforts in the future.
Thank you, Markus Wagner. And συνεχίζουμε στα ελληνικά τώρα.
Let us continue. We remain in software, just we are changing the page, which is more attractive to us women, luxury, fashion. We have with us, let me read it, Mr. Iωάννης Τσιλιμπάρης, who is responsible for the establishment of BestSecret Hellas. BestSecret Hellas is, as I told you, a company that sells fashion products and accessories for physical stores and one online platform for purchase, an e-shop, which wants to become the most exclusive fashion purchase place online. Few words with Tsilibaris. How can you manage it? What do you use? Why should you be exclusive? Why are you better? Yes, thank you for that. First of all, I would like to deeply thank you because it's an honor to invite me in this panel. We have started the establishment of a hub for BestSecret last September. This has been finalized 1 month ago. Now, BestSecret, it is a subsidiary of an old German family company, which is called Sustermann und Bodenstein, apologies to the speaker, which was established in 1923. That is, we shall celebrate next year 100 years. These families are still in control of the company, and back then, this company created something very innovative and totally different. There was a store, they had a store to sell clothes, which was based on products which couldn't be disposed by other fashion companies, fashion stores, but through an exclusive team of people who became members, had very good promotion activities and campaigns, so that people could buy expensive clothes through the physical store of the company. The company delivered all these years, and after World War II and so on and so forth, now we've reached 2007 through a buyout made by the company of one online company from Switzerland. It created a subsidiary named BestSecret. The latter moved on, stepping on the same traces of the initial company, that is, this online platform of purchases, this e-commerce, exclusively was based on members. What they achieved, which makes a difference because it delivers quite well, is that it sees through financial analysts, they can see which of the products don't move on according to the trends of the fashion industry. They get better prices, including the portfolio of products, and then after following the offers to be given to the members, according to the status of each member on the platform, they can give offers up to 80% less than the initial purchase price. It delivers quite well. Its course is quite good. In 2012, it was brought out by the AXA Capital Administrators. Then they were named Andrea, and in 2016, the majority of the shares was bought out by Permira, which they have until now. What shall happen in Ioannina? Yes, this was my next question. It's a tech hub that will support the infrastructure and the operation of the e-commerce platform. We must understand that operation is not just having some nice photos or giving a price which is handy to place an order, but they should send you proper offers, which means that there is lots of AI to monitor the trace from the different visits that you are paying to the products that you want and to the pages of the e-commerce platform, so that you can get the offers, so that you can monitor, since you are placing an order, a product, and you can monitor it throughout its course. Then the page should be able to renew purchases real time, which is when you're buying the product. These can be removed from the stock so that you can get to know what goes on. Is it innovative? Innovative, let me think. How should I put it? It is very well organized, meaning that innovation is defined by three main sectors. First, shape the product. Second, experience of the product. And third, offer. I believe that shaping a project obviously doesn't happen because the product comes ready by different fashion companies, but the remaining two have evolved in an innovative way so that we can have better promotion and better monitoring by the consumer. The result, at least for 2021, was explosive, I would say. The company was close to 1 billion euros of turnover within the year. This year is a bit problematic, mainly due to the war, to the inflation, which is an inflation that came as a result of COVID, and then Chinese port was the problem, since they are a transit way of different fashion goods, also the lost items, etc. But broadly speaking, the company is doing quite well. When it comes to innovation now, there are many different ideas which will be implemented in the long run, something that is related to augmented reality, as I said before, and to AI. How did you come to Greece? Did you opt for that? Were you behind it or not? I was invited to support the whole procedure of our company being established in Ioannina. I was invited, and they were based on my previous experience, which was the first German PMI company, which started in 2017. So you had a good experience, and they said, why not? Yes, from my experience by PMI and by Permira, which sent me here to perform a market research, I was able to see certain things, which of course had a risk percentage, but these paid off, which was important. I believe that growth goes towards a good direction. Sorry to interrupt you. Can you see an improvement vis-a-vis what happened in 2017? Well, improvement when it comes to procedure, to establishment procedures, I mean, yes. Bureaucracy, state bureaucracy has improved greatly, I must confess. The procedure to establish all different infrastructure needed to establish a company here has become speedier, but I will highlight the part that was mentioned by Mr. Wagner, which is about the banks. I would like to tell you that banks still, mainly due to Greece's bankruptcy and due to the regulatory frameworks that came out as a result of the European Central Bank's decisions, they have very strict bureaucratic procedures. Sometimes they cannot be explained that easily. This is a part that may improve greatly. I'm saying so because I have businesses in different states, in Sweden, in Germany, the Netherlands, and in Spain. Things are not that complicated there compared to the Greek reality. Now, things will go better, I'm pretty sure, because there will be new bills, new laws, etc., etc. At some point, we shall decrease bureaucracy. And how can you judge the will of Greek business vis-a-vis innovation? You know the local market, but you also know the Greek market. What do you think about it? I will give you only one example. Technology and innovation may deliver innovation. As simple as that. I can give you 2 or 3 examples. First of all, when the first shops started to offer delivery services, right now we have 3 or 4 platforms with many companies supporting it. Yes, and a German buyout of Greek startups. EPIHEIRΗΣΕΙΣ, for instance. Yes, this is why I gave you this example. The most important to me is that even businesses which really alone don't have delivery services are using these platforms, and they can offer delivery service to the platform. So we are in a good way, in a good direction, yes. And even there, we can get better. So innovation will persist. I believe that in Greece, we can be the pioneers because we can be innovative, we can be creative. We've learned how to be agile and adaptable to new situations quite rapidly. This can be verified by Mr. Τσιλιμπάρης, who said that before. We just want the framework and we need some facilitation. And now I will talk to Mr. Nαυρόζογλου coming from Natec SA, a company which was established here by a Greek entrepreneur. He is going to describe to us his experience. Then he went to Germany, a very innovative company as well. It's about a banking software, or you have an analyst at home, at the office, you set some goals, and this is helpful to achieve financial targets. Please, a few words about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Natec started developing financial software. So we design, we produce, and we market a wide range of software, banking softwares. So a small or medium-sized bank may get from Natec 100% of the systems required for it to operate. As the minister anticipated, there are few companies operating in this industry, especially in Europe. We are one of the really few companies designing so innovative software. But of course, we have the Epeiros Bank as a client, and this is very important to us. We, together with our first client, we co-shaped, we co-designed the banking software as we imagine it now and in the future. So in this sector, I would like to stress that yes, the course of the company has been quite a paradox. We started in Ioannina. Sometimes the really success stories take place in the provinces. Yes, most ventures started from Central Europe or the US. Now, we decided to invest in Ioannina together with people with origin from here or with some kind of relation with the city. And today we are operating, obviously, in Greece, in Europe. And shortly, many new developments are at the corner. We made a reference to the banking assistant. This is a new venture of ours, Natec, apart from the banking software that it designs, also is setting up a new bank together with Piraeus Bank. And there we will have all those interesting interactive things, 24/7 and so on and so forth. 24/7 is already available, actually. Oh, this is not an innovation. Oh, yes, it is. It is, because just imagine, we are the only company internationally offering banking software that does not require day closing. So usually banks at the end of business day stop back office and start receiving mobile, web banking users' requests, etc. This, of course, entails a great workload. As a result, banks do not work 24/7. We, as a company, from the very beginning, have developed our software for it to be 24/7 available. So there is no downtime in a day. All transactions are taking place in real time. When we interact or we have a transactional operation with other banks, and I don't mean, of course, to advertise here, after 5 or 6 or 7 in the afternoon, usually you are told, a message appears on the screen that your transaction will take place in the next working day. So this is not the case with our software. And of course, it will be sustainable. It's still innovative. Oh, so you set up your company in Greece. First question, what were the difficulties? And then you went to Potsdam in Germany. What were the difficulties there? Thank you very much for this interesting question. In Greece, there are various problems and difficulties already referred to. Of course, we sometimes tend to complain that problems are numerous in Greece as against abroad. This is not the case. Well, everywhere there are problems. But as you said, here in Greece, we are used to operating in chaotic conditions. And so we are good problem solvers. We are flexible. Yes, here in Greece, we are alert from the moment we wake up. Yes, this helps us become more agile and more flexible. Certainly, there is a lack of infrastructure in the industry. This is very serious. There has been an improvement in transport. In the past, one could only fly to Ioannina. It was too long to come here by car. Today, this is easier and it is smoother. There are problems when it comes to bureaucracy, to the relations between and the interaction between companies and the academia. It is not very easy for us to cooperate with the poles of innovation at universities. Our students, our scholars, researchers are not very close to the entrepreneurial world. And certainly when it comes to financing, to fundraising, much needs to be done. However, steps forward have been taken. Mr. Τσιλιμπάρης talked about the difficulty for someone to open a bank account or to establish a company. I can see this is the case, but allow me to say that because we are establishing the new bank, which will be based in Ioannina, we managed to establish the company in a single day, and we had our account opened in one day, as against in Germany, where it took us 2 weeks to do the same thing. And so I believe that certainly being from here, it was easier to do things here. Complexity, however, is more or less the same. So there is room for improvement, and this is why we are here. So lessons learned. We don't let problems stop us, hindering us from what we want to do. I know I'm very familiar with the situation of Germany before the pandemic as a great exporter. Notwithstanding, things change there. And so this certainly means that problems can be surmounted. So in your view, what about Greek companies? Can they progress? I firmly believe that leaps forward have been taken. Many new companies excel worldwide. It's not an accident that recently we had the first Greek company having exceeded 2 billion, and I'm thinking of Viva in capitalization. So we see investors finding out the value of Greek fund, Greek capital, and this lies with the Greek talent, the Greek entrepreneurial spirit. We no longer focus on the public sector. We also want to involve the private sector. We look beyond the Greek market. We are equal players, I would say, in the world arena. And this is the case for many other companies which have taken extroversion very seriously. They want to export not only digital systems, but other systems. Blue Ground, for example, which rents apartments around the world, across the world. So I can see there is a momentum. We need to keep going. We also have a competitive advantage against the European markets. We are much more stable compared to some years ago. I can remember a mission in Ethiopia when we were feeling embarrassed at only listening to the word Greece. Now there is no such feeling. We have done many, many things. We have managed to achieve stability, which is very helpful. Of course, we need to stabilize the fiscal framework and many other sectors. But when it comes to innovation, we have much to contribute and we will contribute. Thank you very much, Mr. Navrozoglou. Interesting remarks have been put forward by the three entrepreneurs, the three representatives of companies we have here with us. What I can say is get informed, dare. If you have a good idea, try experimenting on it. If you have a good idea and want to do something, first, don't be afraid of problems and difficulties, because there is a clear path to success, as you may see. At this point, I would like to thank my panelists, and of course, we will continue with Mrs. Toka. Thank you indeed, Mrs. Bali and her panelists. Many interesting things were heard, and the message certainly is a note of optimism. 3 success stories and 3 people who would follow again the same path, the same steps. Now, on the agenda, we would have had the General Secretary for Public Investment, Mr. Skalkos, who is not here, unfortunately, because of an illness. He has a problem with his voice. He will not be able to join us, although we were looking forward to listening to him about the new actions in co-funded programs. Certainly, he will be with us on a next occasion, on a future occasion. So we will continue with the next panel, and we will ask Mr. Zdukos, President and CEO of Zdukos SA, Mr. Lolis, President and CEO of ENACT, Mr. Schutis, President of the Association of Hoteliers, and the second panel on innovation and enterprises will be moderated by Mr. Xirogiannis, Vice General Director of SEV. Mr. Xirogiannis, you have the floor. Thank you. We may start. Thank you very much, Mrs. Toka. We could say that innovation in entrepreneurship certainly does not only have to do with IT and with cutting-edge technology. Innovation may be present in product design, in production, in the type of product, even in marketing, even in the way you serve your breakfast. You may be innovative, or even when you provide services with a high added value, you may innovate. Having said that, together with us, we have companies which meet all these criteria, and I would like to discuss with them their everyday life, their routine, how they add innovation in their everyday life, what their challenges are. So we have Mr. Sdoukos, President and CEO of Sdoukos SA, Mr. Spyros Lollis, President and CEO of Enact SA, and Mr. Stathis Scioutis, President of the Hoteliers Association and, of course, owner of Olympic Hotel. Let us start without further ado. And I would like to start with you, Mr. Sdoukos. This is the right order we will follow in our discussion. So, Mr. Sdoukos, even dynamic companies, regional companies, I mean, have suffered because of the consequent crisis. So, given your long-lasting experience, what are the main financial needs you will have for a speedy development in a situation which has nothing to do with what we were expecting? Thank you. First and foremost, I would like to thank the organizers for having me here and for having organized this discussion, which certainly may benefit our territory and the local business environment. I believe that your question is twofold. First, you ask about the financial needs of companies, and second, the developmental needs of companies. As to the former, I could tell you that after the financial recession, the banking system defined some procedures to evaluate customers, companies, and these requirements and criteria of evaluation were quite strict. In some cases, there are companies which meet the criteria. Of course, in some other cases, the companies lag behind. The companies which meet requirements will find it easy to find funding. Maybe expensive money, but money is there. So subsidies for investment, capital for investment are available. Unfortunately, for a big share of companies which have not managed to meet those criteria because of some problems in the past, etc., financial flows are near to zero. And because in a business environment, we should not only focus on the sound companies and some others being left behind, we need to focus on the second category. When it comes to the investment needs, I could very easily talk to you about an SRF, investment funds, development law, etc. No. The major investment needs today is to see the anti-incentives removed. And what are these counter-incentives? Modernization and digital transformation of the public administration, speedy justice, a simplified fiscal framework, and so on and so forth. Public administration cannot be staffed with people getting 1,500 euros as a salary, but neither with the employees who receive the same salary, whether they are productive or not. So, evaluation of public administration is necessary and a reward of the efficient employees, the efficient public servants. This is very, very important. We should not stay at just wishful thinking. The fiscal system, the tax system may have improved, but still there is room for improvement. And allow me to add something here. The tax system, to be fair and just, needs to focus on combating tax evasion, which is not the case. And this entails shortages in the public finance And second, it undermines the sound companies because there is a lack of level playing field. Thank you. Now, allow me to give the floor to Mr. Lollis. Quite an innovative survey for Greece. Frankly, Greece lags behind in waste management. Although we could have been pioneers as against the rest of Europe, I would like to know from your experience why Greece is still behind. Is it a question of institutional framework, lack of infrastructure, lack of financing? Where do we stand today in this region especially, but in Greece at large?
Thank you so much. Let me congratulate the organizers deeply. I would like to congratulate you. Yes, indeed. Lately, we rank last when it comes to waste management. The reasons are too many, more or less. You alluded to them. But first things first, because it is true that, as the minister said, there have been leaps during the last years. Starting for the last 5 years, which is a landmark for the EU at the level of decision-making process on the linear production model. We change it and we move towards a type of circular economy. Circular economy means industrial synergy, production of a product from scratch in a way that from its use, on the one hand, we can produce less waste after using it. On the other hand, which is more important, thus we can easily promote reuse and recycling. That is why, from a linear model, I may produce, consume, dispose, we go into circular economy. The latter is the main pillar of our strategy, because thus we can implement the European Green Deal and other directives such as green public procurement, the broader responsibility of waste producer, single-use plastics, and some other directives. Infrastructure that you mentioned. How can we achieve all these targets when until recently there was no infrastructure? During the last years, there have been gaps, there have been big steps, leaps. We're talking about waste management systems that work, are operational. In the region of Ηπείρου, we have taken a significant step. We can see here one of these units which are developing daily. From Alexandroupolis to Ceres, then to Western Macedonia, to Ioanna, to Epirus. Then we go down to the Peloponnese, Ilia, in Crete, 2 units, a MAC in Athens. Imagine that 3 or 4 years, there was only 1 or 2 out of them. How can we deliver our recycling targets without the main points of infrastructure? There have been significant efforts, and these non-operational units are in a process of dialogue. I'm talking about public procurement and synergies between the public and the private sector. Big investments in the public authorities at the level of new equipment, green points, and at last, finally, implementation of programs of different sorting, especially for bio-waste. Imagine the new system takes into account the weight of waste. So now we are talking about infrastructure, we are talking about businesses, and about financial programs that have run, and all public local governments have invested in that. The high value, 65% per weight until 2035, with an in-between period 2030, 2025 for 55%. Let us imagine that we are in a very small number right now, even a single-digit one. How can we achieve all these targets without the contribution of companies like our own in the field, which has invested in modern equipment, innovative programs, which has included the environment in every activity, both during the development of projects undertaken and during the execution of them. Broadly speaking, we do take into account the environment with an aim to achieve sustainability and the harmonious coexistence between the nature and humanity, as the minister said before. We have made significant investments lately. We are a company with more than 400 people today. We reinvest the totality of our operational profitability for the last 11 years of our existence. We have taken not even €1 as a dividend, which is very important for the development of innovative technologies of high tech in this sector. How could we exclude private companies which were absent? Because when it comes to waste management, we only have a single-digit percentage. So I would say that private initiative and contribution couldn't be absent from the achievement of these goals. You talked about mindset, you talked about mentality. Yes, of course. The recipe is well known. Education, awareness raising, actions. I would add something else. Implementation of the rules and implementation of different rules of cleanliness in all areas. Yes, please. Let us abide by our time, of course. Apologies, but we need to follow a flow. You both mentioned the word financing and funding. We don't have Mr. Skalkos, unfortunately, with it, but let me say a few words for you and for our audience on the new NSRF, just to be on the same page. I am just conveying new information. I don't mean to replace Mr. Skalkos. In the Hellenic Federation of Enterprises were involved in the new NSRF. Some days ago, we approved, and the new competitiveness program was presented in Kalamata. €4.5 billion will be allocated for the development of Greek small business and SMEs. It's very important. This is the first program adopted by the EU, and it may start quite rapidly with different resources so that this can be used by SMEs in order for them to grow. 3 big titles exist there. We should mention them all. 3 big issues, I would say. First, digital transformation, digital and technological transformation. We're not just talking about IT systems, we're talking about equipment, advanced equipment, controlled through modern digital systems. So we are talking about the upgrade of the productive capacity of all business through modern systems and technologies. That was the first axis. Second axis, green transition and support of businesses. Here we have issues like energy saving, decrease of pollutants, use of solutions when it comes to recycling, waste management, even industrial symbiosis. We are talking about transition to clean forms of energy, up metering, net metering, and so on and so forth. So small businesses, SMEs may find some funding to be assisted within this green transition, which is very important. Third axis, HR. Upgrade of the HR. Right now, this is a critical factor, both in terms of quantity and quality. Connecting universities to the labor market, lifelong learning for employees, continuous upgrade of skills. These are points provided and stipulated within the competitiveness project, and a horizontal dimension of what was named general entrepreneurship, which is here to cover different needs presented by small business and SMEs. I'm saying so. Why? I'm giving the relay to a topic that we didn't mention. It is about you both. Let us give the floor to Mr. Skioutis. We have been listening throughout Greece that there is a lack in HR in different sectors of the economy. There are young people, or rather, we see that it's hard to find young people to work. On the contrary, we would have waited to be at a better place. When it comes to hoteliers and to restaurants or bars, do you observe this problem? Is it difficult to find younger people to cover the gaps or any vacancies in Ηπείρου? Hello. Hello, Mr. Georgiadis. Thank you so much for this invitation. It's a great honor for this hotelier association to be in this panel and address this very important conference organized by the governing party, New Democracy. In our country, there is a big problem when it comes to find people to work in our sector. The biggest problem, I would argue, can be seen in hoteliers and in the hoteliers industry, hotels that are operational along the coastal zone. In Ioannina, this problem is not that intense because there is big offer of employees, but the biggest problem in the region goes mainly in the mountainous regions. They cannot easily find personnel, which is due to the distance in terms of kilometers from downtown. This is also due to the lack of housing and shelters for the employees to live in, the ones who possibly would have wanted to work in a business located in the mountains. These are the main two factors. Furthermore, let me tell you that businesses, since this has been heard, it's been heard that in the tourist industry, businessmen do not pay, entrepreneurs do not incentivize people. As business people in the region, we are believed to be quite serious. Our businesses work throughout the year, and amidst the pandemic, I should say that our personnel was suspended with a promise, something that we did later on, with a promise for them to come back to their posts when the epidemiological conditions allowed us to do so. But I think that now it's going to be a good tourist period. At least the first messages throughout Greece are saying so. Ηπείρου is a very serious tourist destination that attracts the average of tourists, if not above. We see that there is a wave of tourist growth that will give some different possibilities. Am I right or not? Yes, indeed. Let me add something to your first question. As a hotel association in Ioannina, we solve the problem of personal hiring. Through our website, we have created a specific chapter saying, find job in one of our companies. That is, a person visiting our website, the website of the Hoteliers Association, may upload his or her CV, and by clicking on a button, then this CV goes to 65 members of the Hoteliers Association, something very innovative. And this is something that has greatly helped business people to find personnel. Yes, indeed, the area can see an exponential growth. The winter period was quite nice because this region covers many types of thematic tourism. In essence, we were sold out during Christmas and New Year's Eve. We are one of the favorite destinations for the Greeks. Moreover, in between, there have been many conferences that helped this destination. 3 days vacations were pretty helpful. We are very optimistic about the future, and following the two big hubs, Ionian Street, Ionian Avenue, and Dernatia Avenue, took us away from isolation. We believe that the future will be brighter. When it comes to transport and infrastructure needed, for sure, many more things should take place. We, as a hotelier association in the region of Ηπείρου, As Ioannina, we claim the completion of the road axis that will unite Ioannina to Gheorghiadis, something supported by the municipality, by the MPs and all bodies. In reality, it is an iconic street that will link Kalamata to Central Europe. We must finalize it because it will bring new flows in the city, in the region, and in Ηπείρου overall. Furthermore, we are waiting for the completion of E65 motorway that will link us to central Greece, the completion of Ambrakia Way because it will link us to Lefkada, Preveza, and to the airport of Action. These are the motorways that will help us in our growth next year. As a hotel association, Ioannina, we do support warmly the privatization of the Ioannina airport, an airport that right now hosts charter flights and many private jets. Before we listened to PMI and TeamViewer, there was a collaboration with the regional governor to start a air connection with Germany. As a hotel association, we have tabled a proposal through marketing agreement to attract low-cost companies at the Ioannina airport. Statistically, it has been proven that where you have low-cost companies, the tourist product increases both in quality and quantity. And then there will be the privatization within 2022 of the port of Manitsa. We are waiting from that to attract more cruise ships. Thus, truly, we shall increase even further visitors in our region. Then Mr. Amiras will talk about it. We are waiting for the air carriers of the seaplanes to come to us. A destination, the city of Ioannina destination that used in 2004 and up to 2009 used to host different seaplanes. In reality, the city of Ioannina was linked to Corfu. And let me tell you that capacity in these flights, coverage was 100% in these flights. Now, there are two proposals that we would like to table, mainly towards local governors and towards the central government to increase the number of chargers for vehicles, because right now in Europe, there are 250 million electric vehicles. It is a new product to us. If there is such an increase of charging terminals, we believe that since we are a road hub, we shall be able to further increase visitors in our region. And something else, by way of conclusion, we must also look into the charging posts. If you go outside Dulac, you shall see different vehicles. If we create organized stations, we shall attract more people to the area. We believe that the tourist product is being developed exponentially, and if we proceed with some more works, then in the years to come, Ηπείρου, the region and the city of Ioannina will become one of the most important hubs in Southeastern Europe. Thank you.
Thank you. Electromobility is extremely important because it also interests many of our guests, and of course it goes hand in hand with the style Ηπείρου would like to promote as a product. And this brings me to the issue of energy. I would like now to ask Mr. Sdoukos. It is a complex issue for across Europe, and in Greece we are experiencing a perpetual problem of the energy prices increase, which of course affects storage, transport, and so on and so forth. How does this affect your international trade relations, not only when it comes to marketing your products here, but also exporting? Is there anything else you would like to ask from the government? Here we have representatives of a new democracy, maybe an additional help in order to survive in the meantime? This is a very serious question. Energy currently. Can you hear me? So energy currently accounts for a big share of financial resources of industries. Certainly, there are things to ask from the government. We want to have PV installed on our roofs, at least for our own consumption. And do you know the problem? What is? The problem is ADMIE. ADMIE has, last time it connected to the grid, a meter was 5 years ago. And so this is the first thing. We heard the minister saying that from January 1st, all construction licenses will be issued for PV in order to guarantee energy. But unless ADMIE first modernizes, this is impossible. When it comes to raw materials are very difficult equation today. First, we need to ensure their sufficiency. Second, we need to ensure their quality, and then we may discuss prices. There's a shortage in raw materials worldwide, not only here, because of the COVID pandemic. During the 2 past years, production decreased internationally, which means that there is a shortage, substandard quality, and higher prices. How can we deal with that? Now, what we have done is to absorb high share of energy and raw material, high costs, as well as transport. Transport also is a 2-year-long problem. Containers cost 2,000 from China 2 years ago. Today it costs 14,000. And if you market a valuable product, then fine. But when you market a product which is a low cost, a low value product, then this is a great problem. Sometimes it's more expensive to pay for the transport than the raw material. The same problem being with packaging, shortages and high readjustment of prices. Now, exports and international trade. Well, I cannot see great problems here. And you know why? Because the same problems we are confronted are the problems that other countries are confronted. And so, more or less, the problems are shared. The bad thing is that even in the foreign markets, because of the financial crisis, the demand is falling, and this is alarming, of course. What could we ask from the government? Well, not many things, because this is not a national problem, as I said. It is a worldwide problem. Probably we could ask more from the European Union rather than the Greek government. One thing, as far as I'm concerned, an international consultation, an international debate is necessary between society and the social entities in order to raise awareness as to these problems, so that all of us, consumers, producers, intermediate bodies, retailers, know reality in order for society to survive. If society does not manage to survive, then the businesses, of course, will not survive, and vice versa. These are inextricably linked one to the other, society and economy. And the same goes, Mr. Lollis, for the companies which provide innovative services and universities. And so I would like to ask you, we also have the Vice Rector of the University of Iωάννη here, whether you develop or you intend to develop joint research projects with the university. And given that the Vice Rector is here, what do you believe that would facilitate such an interaction so that you may rely on the research carried out by the university to become more competitive? Transfer of knowledge, talents, and skills developed in the university certainly needs to be transferred to the company ecosystem. This is the only way forward. The technological transformation, digital transformation, and green transformation creates the necessary conditions for the academia and the business world to intensify their relations and bridge the gap that sometimes may indeed be noted between labor market and the university. Now, as far as we are concerned, our synergy, our partnership has to do with our cooperation with the professional department, the employment department of the university, about the absorption of people to cover our vacancies. We are based in Technopolis, and so we are close to the university. We have already developed a smart waste management system with ATIC, with this established company. And this system is what will help the proportional payment by citizens according to the principle pay as you throw. And so denomination of specific bins, weighing while collecting waste, full transparency and of data. And this certainly will be helpful in performing the waste management practices and an informed decision-making. And so whoever generates waste will have to pay proportionately to the waste produced, and depending on the services they enjoy from local authorities. And of course, this will also help measure the indicators of emissions. Thank you for that. A last question to you, Mr. Schiotis. Another important interaction is tourism and production. And Ηπείρου has a long tradition and many recognized and popular products. Please share with us some news about your relations with the local producers and their promotions to the visitors. This is true. We regularly meet with the local enterprises. To us, it's very important to promote local products because this is what our visitors ask for. What matters to us is that our providers to be able to achieve affordable prices, because of course, if we can afford this product, it will be easier for us to integrate them in our menus. We, in cooperation with the region and the municipality, on the occasion of all our meetings with journalists, tour operators, or through our participation in fairs, exhibitions, and conferences, we always highlight the importance of using the local products. Thank you. Thank you very much. We will stop here in order to keep the time assigned. I would like to thank Mr. Sdoukos once again for being here, Mr. Spiros Lollis, and Mr. Stathis Schiotis. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for having attended. The microphone back to you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Xirogiannis, for having excellently moderated this panel. And after the discussion on innovation in enterprises, let us talk about the large Ioannina ecosystem, and we will talk about innovation, development, local authorities and society. We will have this discussion with Mr. Alexandros Kachimardis, Regional Governor of Ηπείρου, Mr. Elisaf, Mayor of Ioannina, Mr. Minas Paschopoulos, Vice Rector of the University of Ioannina, Mr. Dimitris Fotiadis, Professor at the University of Ioannina and in charge of the Medical Technology and Smart IT Systems Unit, and Mrs. Di Laveri from the organization of Igoumenitsa. Mr. Akis Bafas, Secretary of Productive Sectors of New Democracy will moderate, and Mr. Koubarakis from the Investment Department of New Democracy will also intervene. You have the floor, Mr. Bafas.
Well, until we take our seats, one of the main objectives of our Secretariat is the continuous upgrade, the new promotion of new people who will be the future of new democracy, but also of our land. Having that in mind, I would like to give the floor on Zoom to Mr. George Koubarakis. George Koubarakis is a young person, and he's younger than me by 20 years at least. He is the competent person on investment and development. He's a partner in a big firm, Diadikasia SA. George, you have the floor, please. Thank you so much, Akis, my dear. I would like to greet you all. Hello to the regional governor, to the mayor of Ioannina. I would like to deeply thank you for this invitation to this very interesting conference. And it's been an honor for me to intervene. Prior to us getting to the gist of it, and prior to us entering the theme of our conference, I would like to mention something that possibly has not been that highlighted, but we must stress, given that Greece has taken a tremendous pathway during the last 11 years, and now Greece is in a sustainable pathway. This is a result of many efforts. This is a result of decisiveness of the Greek people primarily, and this is up to today's government. Thus, we must all acknowledge that the fact that is that in late August, we shall enter the end of supervision, which is a landmark of our country. Because having completed our pathway in these stages, we go back to a European normality. Now, let us go to this event. Few words about what, in essence, could combine growth to local administration. A people who loves practice says, in order for me to be effective, I must have a clear target. I must seek the means that will lead to the implementation of this objective in the best possible way. But the Chinese thinking, if we go into an in-depth analysis of it, doesn't talk about plans nor ideas. It tries to trace and use the internal dynamic of a status to moderate through the natural course of things, moderate that, so that it can turn these conditions into favorable conditions to the benefit of the situation. So the internal dynamic, which right now should be spotted, in my view, this can be found in local authorities. Local authorities may work as a leverage of growth for our economy. Municipalities may be the protagonists as well as regions in this process. A characteristic example is the fact that the government has turned its eyes towards this direction through the financial tools like Antonis Tritsi's program, which has subsidized the change of the face in our municipalities. Then there have been many remodeling projects, digital transformation projects, or infrastructure projects. Apart from that, projects like the charging terminals of e-vehicles, which lead to the network creation in order for us to host e-vehicles in our country and get close to the objective set by the business plan of the Ministry of Energy on energy and climate. Until 2030, this 30% of classification will be electric cars. Sustainable mobility plans which need a change of mindset when it comes to the way of which we are facing commuting in our city. We prioritize bikes and pedestrians. Then the road safety program that will run next week and will last until the end of June to table proposals of municipalities and regions. 250 million will be channeled there to materialize actions that will be about the measures that have been delimited in the urban mobility plan, that is the creation of paved ways, intersections, new ones, signing, lighting, and all these elements that could be seen in order for us to prevent accidents in the peripheral road axis, but also in central motorways. Through these efforts and some others which are anteporters, like the creation of an accessibility network of municipalities through linear interventions, one could say very easily that municipalities are at the center. Municipalities, in my view, may play a crucial role. Furthermore, the government shows that in practice there can be a protagonist role in the growth of our country, because in a bottom-up approach and not in an up-down approach, growth may start from the different regions to cover all Greece through the implementation of actions that have been set before. All different growth projects will change the face of municipalities, will facilitate the everyday life of citizens, along with the immediate foreign investments and the use that is being taken place of the real assets that will happen through a bill promoted by the Ministry of Environment and Energy through PPP for 50 years. We're talking about the deserted buildings in the municipalities. In essence, municipalities will be the ones that will become the leverage of growth and will play a critical role in shaping a local and national growth factor. Thank you so much for your attention. I'm at your disposal. I may wish you fruitful proceedings and take care. Thank you so much. Thank you. It works, thank you. Now I would like to go into session 3. Let me make a confession before that. I'm not a big talent in moderating, and I do acknowledge we had Mιχαέλα, we had Mr. Γεωργιάδης, with whom we have been partners at the Faculty of Mathematics. So normally, the ones for this job are Eritok and Jens Telafil. But since I'm in Iωάννη now, since I'm in my city, and since I have here my good friends, that is why I opted for undertaking this role of moderator. We are in part number 3, last one for this discussion. We shall discuss about the role of innovation as a leverage of growth, and how this may contribute towards this direction, how local administration may contribute to that, and the society overall. Because the government passes the laws and sets the framework on which we shall be based to build initiatives. In other words, it paves the way. But a big part of the job, not a complementary one, in my view, it is a prevailing one, which lies amongst local authorities. In this framework, I would like to lead the discussion and give the floor, first of all, to our regional governor, Mr. Alexandros Kachrimanis, who is fighting for our region, and he is a frontliner for the last 30 years by serving his city, Metsovo, the region, and the local administration, wearing different hats and being present across different levels of local administration. Here we may see that there have been iconic projects from the simplest one, the one that I can see before the gate of the university, this big upgrade of the area, and then the hospital and the tech park as well, which will change the whole access to all this type of infrastructure. Moreover, apart from the tech park, this will serve a big project financed in our area by the RRF, which is the new tech park, which is an aspiration of the governance of the local administration. So, Regional Governor, please talk to us about it and about the role of regional government in using innovation and developing our land.
Innovation is not difficult. I remember my grandfather telling me, do you know how long dark is? Just close your eyes. The same said for innovation. It is next to us. Sometimes, however, we get confused and we believe it is something supernatural. When you want to bring about growth in a territory, you try to find the competitive advantages. Primary sector and manufacture here, and tourism, for example, in our case. So all that need to be combined to bring about change. Very cautiously, I listened to all the previous speakers, and they were right. Greek state. Sometimes I call it the state of nothing, and I don't think of the policymakers. I am thinking of the employees, the directors of the ministry's departments. For example, together with Mr. Ramirez, we were talking some time ago. This government, and I have to say how pioneering this government is. So law 4685 was approved, and it was supposed to resolve the problem with forest ownership. This law was approved by Mr. Hatzidakis, and the forest directors' employees were the ones who brought us to trial before the Council of State. I was personally involved because of my involvement in the Association of Regions. Out of 31, 8 disagreed. In 2020, however, the foresters try to convince people that, try to make it hard for people to lodge an appeal because they actually misinterpret the law. And I had to tell the Prime Minister some time ago, you did that, you approved the law, but you know what? Nothing has happened in practice. So why we are doing that? What I mean by all that, I mean that we have a competitive advantage in the primary sector, but some things need to be addressed. And so I believe that the Prime Minister has taken practical steps in remedying the shortcomings of the past. Second, you remember when the farmers would block the roads, complaining about prices, never about qualities. Now we traveled abroad to participate to fairs with big producers, standardized products, and we saw that there was demand for our products. At Platanusa, 2 young people saw that, for example, specific herbs, when extracted, could be very easily exported to Russia. They became businessmen overnight, and they have made so much money. And this is what many other businessmen have done. This is how things tried to move. And there are various other producers here producing herbs, oregano. I mean, you cannot but promote these cultivations, these crops. Many people have excelled. I have seen Mr. Silis, you're here. Once he came to my office. But allow me to add something else for agriculture, because a revolution took place a couple of days ago when we forgot it. Two things happened. First of all, undermining of the PD products and the protected origin products as feta. And second, when a cattle breeder and then a farmer receive subsidies and grants, there are allegedly pasture lands in specific locations where no goat or sheep actually pasture, and arable crops that do not exist. And so in the past, all our farmers and cattle breeders were declaring more hectares than they were cultivating, more goats and sheep than they had, in order just to receive grants. And this, of course, benefited so many people in an undue manner. Mr. Pierakakis has managed to change that shortcoming, that problem. There was, thankfully, a remedy has been found, thanks to the radical reform that Ministry under the guidance of Mr. Pierakakis is bringing forward. And I was saying, Mr. Τσιλιμπάρης once came to my office. He was working at P&I. He told me, Governor, I cannot have any connection. I cannot manage to have a connection either from Vodafone or from Cosmote. Now, I can remember Vice Rector that as a region of the Ηπείρου have taken care of things that were so easy to correct, as in this case. And that was the first day I met Mr. Τσιλιμπάρης. P&I, we helped to address their problems, and they helped us in turn. And on March 9th, in 2020, I can remember Chancellor Merkel showing full respect to the representative of Permira, who is here, the company which is here, and is present and has mobilized, of course, funds and promoted the dynamic of our region. And thanks to investors like them, Giannina now are thriving. P&I will organize a race on Zagori. Other investors have come. And so now we are starting with 15,000 square meters, which are tobaccos. And a technopolis will be erected. The University of Ioannina has greatly helped, Vice Chancellor, thanks to the quality of your students and graduates. And of course, our major concern is for these people to be paid well. Second, for people to have access to both the sea and the mountain, to have quality products. We want internal tourists. We want, as Mr. Stathi said, a channel of communication with Germany. Mr. Triadis, who has P&I, said that I will invest in increasing flights and connections with Germany. So, and all that is happening silently. What I mean by all that we may do many, many things discreetly. We have spared no effort to promote innovation. We had the program New Knowledge some years ago. We would finance research foundations to do research. We extended that through the innovation programs. We did this, and I first saw it in Germany. Germany does this very simple thing. And I found it so difficult to convince the Greeks. Now, Germany says the companies which will recruit young graduates with a master's degree or PhD, the young graduates find a job. This is how they accumulate experience. Now, I've managed, with great difficulty, I have to say, to convince the local community that this was necessary and to convince the European Union to finance that. And then and so now young people here have the possibility to upskill. Then we launched the program Επενδύσεις, e-entrepreneurship, with a grant of 15,000 euro. And third, for small enterprises wanting to promote innovation, we also help them. So we have a series of programs for innovation, but of course an innovative element needs to be there. We have 44 companies which cooperate with foundations as in order to promote their products and change their productive mixture. Now, when it comes to the development law, Ηπείρου is the first region in Greece to have 300 project proposals. Already at the 5th round. And the project proposals which were approved for funding will be funded by the regional operational program. So we will earmark money for these projects, for these new businesses. Now, there's no doubt today a mistake was made in 2018, Mr. Amiras. And here lies the problem with ADMIE. And so a mistake made in 2018 is felt today. So I am thankful to the government for having abolished the readjustment clause. I believe that that provision was really criminal. And I personally asked the Prime Minister to get rid of that clause, and I am delighted to see the Prime Minister intended to abolish that clause. Mr. Zdukos said, rightly so, that the European Union is behind Greece, follows Greece sometimes. The European Union does not dare so easily. We dare more. We take risks, this government, but we need to change our mindset. And certainly we need to change public administration. The Greek state, which was nurturing a state-relying practice for too many years. This state never understood, for example, that we are a an agency, which means that we are problem solvers for our citizens. There was a whole scandal during the Easter about the allegedly Greek origin Greek lamb. I tried to study this, and we found out that in 2018 there was a clause about domestic production, which does not exist here or in Europe. This is how Romanian lambs were named Greek. And the blame is to be put at the personnel of the ministry. For the first time after so many years, however, I dare to say that the public administration is being streamlined, thankfully, and thanks to the digital transformation that is taking place. Do not hesitate if you want to ask me something. I will stop here in order not to tire you. The regional governor says many interesting things each and every time I listen to you. Now, at the beginning, I said that the government sets the context and takes the initiatives by setting the rules. And then the other stakeholders, be it the board, the university, are called upon to take a step further. I would like to thank the regional governor for having highlighted many initiatives taken by this government to provide answers and solutions to lengthy challenges. Now, I would like now to give the floor to our mayor, Mr. Elisaf, who would like to use the podium. You are free to do that, sir, of course. Now, I was discussing with the mayor earlier. We were also talking about the positive prospects, the challenges at large. And of course, we talked about the financial measures available for the municipality, as for example, the TRITSIS program, the Electra program, and many other programs from the structural investment funds, public investment, and the resilience and recovery fund. And amongst other things, I would like the mayor to tell us how the municipality intends to make use of this instrument, of these tools, in order to achieve local government.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank the productive sector of New Democracy and Stiftung. I would like to say that with CAS we have a multifaceted, fruitful collaboration. So it's an honor to participate in this very interesting event, focusing on the role of innovation in the growth of local societies. Allow me, first of all, to mention two top events that really reply to this problem. Point first, two PhD candidates, Larry Bates and Sergey Brin, after ignoring the orders of the supervising professors, moved on freely in front of the vast ocean of the unknown, and they completed their PhD thesis as they believed appropriate. And this became our known Google, verifying that in practice the view that academic freedom is a prerequisite to conquer the unknown. And this goes for the relationship between innovation and growth. The Hungarian economist Jonas Kongan managed to enumerate the most innovative discoveries of the 20th century to understand that everything was made in democratic regimes. So there was the view that in the developed countries, growth is closely related to democracy, and that the main leverage of growth, to the extent that this is opted for, is innovation in the front line. From the above, we can tell that the relationship between innovation, the growth of the world democracy, and the promotion of talents, even if this is increasing or not, are at a linear relationship. Our societies are in front of many challenges, social problems, worldwide crises, environmental phenomena like the climate change. Altogether, these are modern negative phenomena characterized by obscurity, and this is due to the complicated nature of modern life, and this is due to the development without any respect for the environment. It is obvious that the role of local administration, the role of the primary local administration is a catalyst since it's in close cooperation with the citizens. It listens to their agony, expectations, and needs, and thus it should give direct solutions. Unfortunately, in a counterproductive bureaucratic model of administration in the Greek state highlighted in this room, and in my personal humble view, this is an obstacle for the Greek society. It is obvious that the role of innovation in tackling these complicated problems of our daily life, in the improvement of the life quality, in guaranteeing new labor forces that will be well paid, the extroversion of cities, and the guarantee of social cohesion is something of paramount importance. Let me start with a positive example that is the innovative revolution that took place throughout the pandemic in Greece. A bombardment of new applications and services that the Greek government, through the Ministry of Electronic Governance, offered to the Greek people. It made us move in front. The citizens managed to solve daily problems, alleviating the burden of bureaucracy. I believe that society has acknowledged this big work. Friends and foes have acknowledged this huge success. But there's a question here. Why the majority of municipalities may not run as PD? Why can they not run similar initiatives? Sometimes we're talking about smart cities, but this can sound ironic on behalf of the beneficiaries. We should not put the blame on the poor communication skills of municipality or the lack of an inclusive logic. We in Iωάννη, we believe that we have a close cooperation to all in a democratic way of governance upon consultation, dialogue, and quest for alliances. Bureaucratic procedures, that is, the architectural flaw of decisions in our countries, such that inhibits a policy of innovation for municipalities. Since the very first day we announced urban intelligence plans until modification, there are many steps backwards and forward. So much time elapses, many years elapse. It can be even mandates of mayors that by definition render any implementation of innovative urban technologies an anecdote. If we really want to look into innovation, getting into our daily routine, in waste management, in the way we transact with municipal services, we must heal in an emphatic, decisive way all these practices that render the execution of innovation policies something impossible. The state has a key role to play. Thus, society shows mistrust and denial vis-a-vis the municipal promise to introduce innovations that will offer solutions to daily problems, to rebuild trust between the citizen and the municipal authority, and to mitigate the anger of people, especially in this era of turmoil. It takes a dark orientation of innovative services today, not tomorrow. That tomorrow this will no longer be an innovation. Of paramount importance is the meticulous inclusion of modern digital technology that should end up to the improvement of the life quality of citizens. a modern municipality only if it manages to include digital evolution in the daily routine, will diachronically manage to become an attractive destination of living with some elements of growth. In practice, the municipal authority has set the tone before the sanitary crisis through the innovative creation of a vice mayor of electronic governance and smart city applications, acknowledging the need to create an autonomous horizontal infrastructure that will be able to collaborate with all the remaining parts and services of the municipality. A main prerequisite to go into the new era is for our municipality digital literacy and digital training. Through specialized actions, we believe that we shall mitigate the digital gap and we shall meet this specific goal. Already, our municipality has been certified as a Cisco Academy, offering modern programs and trainings in new technologies, as well as it organizes seminars on challenges like safe navigation online and online safety. Allow me here to mention another issue related to the private sector and public politics. Like the regional governor, I have discussed on multiple occasions with significant companies of innovation and IT. Some of them were heard today, and some of them have their seat in our city. Some others are thinking of investing or of creating some vacancies in our region. In all cases, the least that I can offer as a rep and head of the municipality is our good intention. Municipalities in Greece, unfortunately, institutionally, may not offer incentives or reliefs to entities or companies that want to invest here. This mistrust with the municipality and the lack of a competent municipal institutional toolbox inhibits a municipal authority from taking initiatives to create innovative interventions. Decisions on investments are taken at a state level, inhibiting thus competition between municipalities, creating an imbalance of financial growth between the major cities and the rural area. Let me come to the end being optimistic, since there are some positive messages. A new era is ante portas for our city, Ioannina. After a lengthy effort, we shall be one of the 100 climate-neutral cities until 2030. We are one out of the 6 Greek cities which have won the bet. Shortly, I believe that we can change our image, being the pilot for many more cities. Indeed, the cities included in this project are invited in less than 10 years to achieve the target of climate neutrality, 20 years earlier than the remainder of the EU, using EU resources with many developing and educational benefits. In order for a municipality to face in a successful way the new challenge that is climate neutrality, achievement of goals for climate change, we adopted some specialized innovative methods of communications with citizens and different bodies. It is obvious that only cooperation of citizens and bodies and co-shaping of proposals are significant factors in these cases. We must meet these necessary social alliances, so our municipality has developed a platform of innovation on which ideas and proposals are tabled by all citizens and bodies through the completion of a questionnaire. This platform shall enhance the different possibilities for our citizens to go towards energy neutrality, and will find some solutions to complicated problems. Through this dynamic and inclusive procedure, our municipality wants to highlight that it directs itself towards a holistic change of mindset for us all, creating thus an innovative legacy for the generations to come. The participation of citizens and bodies is of paramount importance for the inclusion of innovative practices into our lives. I do believe that our city is a vivid one, with an active academia, active people, active citizens who are interested in the improvement of the conditions of life and the protection of their environment. the social connection, as well as the will and the possibility on behalf of the municipality, are the catalysts to create broader consensus, rendering our city the pioneer for the sector of energy, both when it comes to energy transition and the participation of our citizens in the decision-making process. In this framework, a closer interaction with the scientific and financial bodies, as well as the citizens, which has started during the preparatory procedure of drafting the folder, is the bet for the next day. By way of conclusion, let me stress that central state, local administration, local authorities, and authority of the civil society, as well as isolated, active citizens, are invited to overcome long-run bias, political pity party aims, useless motives. Altogether, let us overcome the unprecedented obstacles that are met before us, and using the innovative, vivid part of our society, and mainly the new generation, we shall all deliver. This is something we owe to ourselves, we owe that to our history, we owe that to new generations. The verdict of tomorrow and the road of our salvation will be led by you all. Let us not waste the last chapter of this multifaceted crisis that is offered for a new beginning. Faith in Messiah not only doesn't help, but unfortunately it is quite misleading. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for being here. Thank you very much for your dense speech indeed. Mayor thoroughly talked about the challenges the municipality is confronted with, but also the prospects. And he shared with us a series of initiatives taken by the municipality of Ioannina in order to make life easier for citizens. And we should all agree on the fact that technology exists to be at the service of citizens. The same applies to politics, of course. And the development of smart cities is the only way forward. I believe that in the years to come, leaps will be taken forward, even by municipalities who have not adopted to date this approach. I am confident that the municipalities will find holistic solutions. The mayor also talked about the digital revolution we have experienced since 2 years, and that started especially during the pandemic, but I would like to grasp this opportunity to publicly say that this is thanks to the competent ministry and Minister Mr. Pierre Akakis and his team, who in due time was prepared to just click on the button necessary to launch this digital transformation. I would like to add something. Bureaucracy is something we do not usually discuss about how to improve. Now, the ministry is carrying out the national process registry, which leads to the standardization of processes. So the legislative framework will create a system in which the citizens will have access to any information, any item of information. The citizens will know how long how long it will take for service to be provided, and there will be full accountability thanks to that ministry. Now, I would like to give the floor to the professor at the University of Ioannina, Mr. Minas Paschopoulos. He's the vice rector from when we participated at the MedLab together with Dimitris Fotiadis. He is a dear friend, and I would like him to present how the university promotes the innovative products and what the technology transfer department is doing. I have many dear friends here who are working at that department. So, Minas Paschopoulos, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for your introduction. Akis, thank you very much for having me here to represent the university. It's a great pleasure and a great honor indeed for me to participate in today's conference. And I would like to start with what the regional governor said, that the attractive product of our university is the quality of our graduates. Thank you for acknowledging that, regional governor, but this is due to the quality of the academic material we have. Allow me, suffice it to say, to talk about the quality of our two panelists coming from the University of Ioannina. But I would like to say something more. We all know at Ioannina and in Greece, Governor, that you are friend and supporter of the university. And we need to acknowledge that because the university owes much to you, and we need to keep on repeating that. Now, the challenges of the fourth industrial revolution is the conversion of knowledge in additional value, competitive products and services for good jobs. And so the university, any university, and specifically the University of Ioannina, has a central role. And in the framework of its competence, the University of Ioannina has done something which is innovative. It has entered into a protocol of understanding with the Association of Industrialists, which provides for the implementation of research, laying emphasis on industry, connecting students to labor market, and promoting lifelong learning, especially the institutional of industrial PhD studies. And this is an autonomous part of the draft bill about tertiary education. It's very important to promote innovation and entrepreneurship for our researchers, companies, and the university itself. These are fully fledged PhD programs based on the partnership between researchers, university, and companies, and will actually allow the conversion of theoretical knowledge into practical applications. There are benefits for PhD candidates, as for example, the connection of subject, the direct access to labor market, the possibility to create intellectual property product with open characteristics, and of course, the cultivation of an entrepreneurial spirit. And there are benefits for the university, as for example, the empowerment, the enhancement of relations with local producers, the connection of research to product, the use of cutting-edge research produced and knowledge produced, and the support of research by private bodies and not only state programs. And this needs to be taken into consideration by all universities. And benefits for companies, which will have the possibility to co-shape the research object, and they will be entitled to make use of the results of the research, which will be carried out. After the lengthy financial recession and health care emergency, we need to contrast climate crisis consequences, as Mr. Amiras said, the development of digital economy, digital transformation of the state, extroversion of productive entities, innovative entrepreneurship, green transition need skills and knowledge. And these skills and this knowledge certainly is being developed in our universities. And so our university has a critical role to play in promoting development and growth of Ηπείρου by creating the necessary skills and knowledge which is required for the future. However, the university has yet another role to play. in developing research and innovation. The development of research activity and the promotion of the development of technology will create new opportunities. And so the role of the University of Ioannina through research by the scientific and research community of our university is vital to support entrepreneurship and productivity. Thank you. Thank you very much, Vice Rector. Thank you, dear friend Minas, for having participated in this conference organized by us and the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung. We are behind schedule, so I will be very concise in my remarks. Minas talked about the high quality of academic personnel in Greece, featuring two distinguished panelists. Allow me to add that here in Greece, our scientists are top-class scientists. And now, in the framework of the fourth industrial revolution, this will certainly be one competitive advantage for Greece, and the role of the Greek university is and will continue to be that of educating scientists and linking them efficiently to the labor market. I would like now to give the floor to my professor, one of the dearest persons I have in my life, the professor director of the Medical Technology and Smart IT Systems department. I spent many years of my life in this department, and I would like to publicly say this. If I have managed to do something, and if I have a profession today, I owe it to Dimitris Fotiadis. From the very first day I met him in 1995, he has always supported me. He has always paved the way for me. He is a visionary of the technological park. He is the man who conceived it, who launched it, who directed it. And with these introductory remarks, I would like to give you a...
Hello, thank you so much for that. Akis has been one... Thank you very much. Akis has been one of my favorite people. And of course, you heard before the regional governor, and then you heard the mayor, and the regional governor. You heard what happens with innovation in this area. I wanted to use the podium, but I have some slides as well. So I will trouble you a bit, but I believe that the slides are very nice to see what goes on right now. Let us take the roadmap to innovation. We have been listening to all these elements, and you know, many times, many people are saying, come on now, a new bill on universities. There are some good pieces, there are some bad pieces, but it talks about products, about different research committees, startups, spin-offs. How can you do it when you're in a university and when you are in an environment that is pretty known with many difficulties worldwide? What I'm going to show you is, first of all, our lab. What are we doing? Our lab is a lab that is entitled Unit of Medical Technology and Intelligent Information Systems. It is established in the University of Ioannina, and it partners with a big body established in Ηπείρου, ITE, the Foundation of Technology and Research, by the Institute of Research. The regional governor talking about the new tech park, but also the expansion that we are doing now to new buildings. Thus, the lab here, I'm trying to give it through a circular form. Let me tell you what this does. The circle is more problematic. It looks like Asterix Village, a very creative, a very innovative thing that falls under the umbrella of Ioannina University. This lab is doing IT medicine. It's related to digital health today. It designs platforms, it designs different formats of artificial intelligence, it builds sensors, it builds stents that are put into the human body and different products. But how are we doing so? First of all, we have 70 people in the lab who are not paid by the university. This is the philosophy of our lab. Money is paid by the region through competitive programs, which are too many. Karolinska, imagine, in the same time period that we mentioned here, had 240 programs. So our lab has the 1/5 of Karolinska University, which is very important. We bring money along, and thus we can do this because research needs much money. It is a painful struggle that needs HR investments, and see what you can do with these people in the future. So this lab now is one of the biggest labs and one of the best labs worldwide when it comes to IT this today. And here is the biggest magazine. We are the issuers of the biggest IT medicine magazine in the world, which is eloquent. On the other hand, what we are doing should be led to society. We took this step. The step was a big one, that is leave the university, and from the research field, you can tackle products, or you can deal with businesses. Right now, we are dealing two startups, Cardio4U and Ηπείρου Technology, and two companies established in London for a reason that can be discussed later on, but the majority of HR being in Iωάννη now. There are also some keywords behind what we are doing. To us, all these things at the end of the day have a common denominator, AI, to a large extent, because what we want to do, either by building sensors or by collecting data, is to go to what is named medicine, precision medicine. In our case, not in the case of Mr. Paschopoulos, but in our case, we want to get there through AI. Behind that, there is a vision, of course. The vision is very specific. Research is very heavy. That is why you can see the trampoline being on this side. But on the other hand, we must take another step and get into the market and society, which is quite tough. And this is innovation. This is the definition of innovation for a member of the academia. We get knowledge and we go out to the market. This is a big leap for a member of the academia because this leap takes other pieces of knowledge. I'm not competent of doing that alone. To do so, I found business-related people who understood what we are doing and they managed to take it a step further. On the other hand, it needs more money, much money, especially in this field of ours. Because 1 million, 2 million euros will not suffice. We must have investments of 10 million euros to deliver a product. This sector is quite difficult. Prior to that, you must see certain things, what goes on with the market, and see that indeed what you are doing is meaningful. Here, allow me to make you see the figures, to understand what happens digital health today. Especially after COVID, everything is related to digital health. What we knew will change. Digital health means that the doctor will remote you from home or when at work. This changes. Why? Because, as our mayor will tell you so, it's very expensive to keep people within the hospital. We want them to be at home with a doctor monitoring them. Furthermore, there is something that you learned quite well because you all have smart watches. There is what we name the keyword here, Internet of Things, IoT. There are sensors. You can open your fridge and I will know what you are eating, because the most important problem of health today is that we are prescribing drugs, but we don't know whether patients are taking them. Moreover, there is something else. Health and what we are naming precision health is about big data. This is what we are dealing with. A person should see what goes on with data that start being developed. The investment is not costed neither in equipment nor in anything else. The cost is content and data. Bill Gates is buying data. All big companies, Samsung, they have data. Google, how does it survive from data that it has? Moreover, to be able to materialize that and give to people this opportunity, creating the lab, we have two ways. One through startups and companies. We're going to see that later on. The other one is that there is a huge infrastructure, the hugest one that exists right now in Europe, I would dare to say, says the speaker, for sure in the Mediterranean fishes. What we are doing is that through the mechanism of the university and the relevant committee, we give rather to people a possibility. They can be creative in the lab or in PhD thesis. They can be able to upload the software. It's a medical software that processes the image. This is being used by doctors, hospitals. They are paying the university, and they have the possibility to be remunerated through the university. There's specific regulation for that, 40, 40, 20, and some money will stay for the university. We focus a lot on the use of AI for data that might be images, data that can be a reuse of drugs or for the creation of drugs. This is the image that we have created in order to avoid any glass roofs for our employees, because you know many times in these institutions there are this type of problems. Moreover, we focus a lot on startups. It's a big step for a member of the academia. This is forbidden for Greek universities, but we were bold enough to take this step. Our startups, one is PD Neurotechnology in Kardamitsa, with 40 people right now. It's a very big investment, along with the business partners. And not only does it produce software, but it also produces different types of material. It is a medical technology company. To commercialize a product, 1 year does not suffice. It takes from 6 to 8 years of testing. It needs money. The product that right now we can offer to the market is something that is related to people suffering from Parkinson. This is built in Ioannina. It's not Chinese, it's a European product with our own design, with our own materials. We have production lines, but also we have a very powerful R&D department to develop our software. It is a product that combines the patient who is monitored online. Here you can see the edge computing, then there is the cloud, which collects data. We are using a smartphone to get the data of this person, and then the prescription changes. These type of products exist, yes, because the philosophy person who works there is to change the way how health is provided. Not skip the doctor, change the way, so that when the doctor sees you, he should be well trained about your condition. You may forget the symptoms and you must concentrate on what's important. This is the vision behind it. These two graphs here, towards the upper part, you can see the classical view, the classical way, and below the more modern way. By way of conclusion, I would like to tell you that innovation is created in the universities. Many labs exist at the University of Ioannina. They do produce new products, they do produce new ideas, but you should take the necessary leap so that we can reach what we are doing in the society, because we are producing many papers, many articles. Many times you believe that this is a paradox, but a lab with 70 people, plus a company here in Ioannina, which has 40 people, 110 people, is a huge contribution for the HR, not only through the remuneration, but this is a big one of vacancies, of covering vacancies. We never had a brain drain. We only had a brain gain. Thank you so much for your attention.
I would like to thank Professor Fotiadis for participating in today's discussion. The MedLab he is in charge of is indeed one of the most powerful examples of success stories. As the professor anticipated, MedLab is a laboratory which does not ask money from the state budget. It rather is competitive and brings funds from national and international programs or from the market itself. Some years, or rather many years ago, when I joined your laboratory, we were so few at the beginning, and then when I left it, there was a recycling of personnel, and there were something like 70, 80 people. The two startups that Professor mentioned are a vital example. 40 high-quality practitioners graduated from the university, and thanks to the technology developed in the university, now have not left their birthplace, and they have highly paid jobs, which otherwise could not even exist. I believe that thanks to the new law, which is to be approved upon initiative of the Ministry of Education, I believe that, Professor, your life will be much easier. And I would like now to give the floor to Regina De La Veri, the last speaker of tonight. Regina is a lawyer. She's a regional councillor with our regional governor and president of the organization, the Port Authority of Igoumenitsa. A port which is developing dynamically using technology, has a green vocation, a port which has the ambition of being competitive in a area in which Jurash is quite a critical rival. And so, Regina, please take the floor and share with us some developments and the ways in which the port is making use of technology. Thank you very much. Indeed, I am president of the Igoumenitsa Port organization together with the CEO. I took office in October 2019 in a period of abrupt changes and a bit before the healthcare emergency. However, we insisted on the initial planning, aspiring to promote the greening of the port. Essentially, we didn't want, as a port, to embrace the policies for green transition. In fact, we decided to develop a zero-footprint port. We participate in Alphion project, which provides for the provision of electricity to ship, etc. Poseidon, which has to do with the use of natural gas by vessels, and the environmental management of eco-waste, which has to do with the waste disposal of the port. Thanks to our participation in these projects, the port will manage to fully decouple from energy intensity consumptions, and it will rely fully on renewable energy sources. The European Union congratulates us for the innovation, and of course we provide all the necessary services to the vessels which will moor to the port. We need to also adapt to the new environmental legislation of the European Union as to the cap of emissions. So we are fully prepared to provide all necessary services to vessels. Unless we adapt new technologies, new fuels are being studied. The developments in technology are so rapid that we need to keep up. I am inspired by the intelligence of our regional governor. We have managed to have a good cooperation between the port and the region. Tourism is an important sector. At Terminal 1 of the port, we have set up a tourism office. We have been supporting the local companies as the aquaculture sector, and I believe that all the actions taken by the Port Authority in conjunction with the local authorities can benefit the local territory, and this is how we need to continue under once the privatization will be over. The Igoumenitsa port, unlike the other three ports under TAIPED's regime of privatization, has attracted the interest of 7 investors. Very shortly, the economic offers will be open. 67% of the share capital will be taken over, but the state will continue to have control over that. And so the investments that will be made in the area, the use of new specialized solutions in shipping certainly will will be a level of development for the area, and hopefully we will speed up, and for the benefit of Ηπείρου and the wider area, we will be here to support all efforts. Thank you very much, dear Regina, who talked to us about the role of the port in the future, today's state of play. I would like to add to that I had the luck to have both Regina and the CEO participating in some of the actions we launched. And I can certainly confirm that Igoumenitsa port is what we call as best practice. Many of the presidents of the other port authorities has asked me to liaise and to bring them into contact in order to transfer technology and knowledge from one port to the other. And this is very important. The role of the port in this region will be critical. Now we will have a second round of remarks. No, I'm joking. That was just a joke. I know that we're all very tired. We are wrapping up. I would like to thank all the attendees for your patience. I would certainly want to thank all panelists. And my opinion is that today's meeting was so fruitful, so interesting. I would like to thank from the bottom of my heart Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, Martha Kondodemon, who is representing it today, Vasilis Karidas, Henry Bonnet, and all the people from the foundation. Our cooperation is an honor for us. And after that, I would like to give the floor to the moderator of Επιχειρείτε Action, Eri Toka, and my director at the Secretariat of Productive Sectors of New Democracy, Iωάννης Triantafylou. The only thing I would like to say for Iωάννης is that he was a senior when I joined the university. He was a student here at the math faculty. And dear friend, dear Iωάννης, you have the floor to wrap up. Thank you. Thank you very much. I will be very short. I would like to just say that I was impressed by all panelists, by the three panels, especially the last one, which certainly showed tangibly how what innovation stands for through the upskilling, the creation of competencies, through the activation of all mechanisms to absorb and promote technology, and the knowledge intensity, entrepreneurship as the startups proposed by Mr. Fotiadis. I firmly believe that the national innovation ecosystem is structured, is operating, and is developed, and at the very center of it, we have the Greek university. I'm delighted to see the university so active. It is a note. It raises optimism for us to practically see some steps taken forward to connect research and the economy. We can see a generation of scientists who can bring about an additional value here in this territory and stay here, not leave this country. And with that, I would like to give the floor to Yannis Triadafilou for the closure. You may stay here next to me. Let us wrap up together. This is a territory I first came in 1983 at Dopolis. You will all remember that. It is where we started the first academic courses. And you can remember the giant computer we were using back then. Now, you were eloquent and concise. Thank you for your dedication. What I keep from today's event is this. Unless you change mindset and you think out of the box, you can have no innovation or entrepreneurship. Second, no matter how many problems you have, you need to dynamically try to overcome them, especially when these problems in your mind, you think that they are here. They are exclusive to Greece. They are country-specific, but many of the panelists said that they found difficulties, they had difficulties in other countries as well. So it is not true to say, it is not correct to say that here is haven and there is the hell, and vice versa. The only solution is to dare to take the risk. This is very, very important. And the third thing is to keep record, half of them on paper and the other half in our mind. It's important to remember. So whatever we have in our mind, in entrepreneurship, we put on paper to make plans out of it, to design, thanks to the know-how we get to create something new. Innovation is not synonym only to technology. Innovation is about processes and workflows. So I certainly will leave today's event richer. First, I would like to thank you and congratulate you for having taken a good idea we had at the Secretariat and you implemented when we were talking about entrepreneurship as concept. We were certainly not expecting to have so distinguished people here talking with us. And I guess I believe we need to say to all, let's call it a day, there are another 2 actions. Larissa and Chalkida will be our next events on the agenda before the summer holidays. And we would like to thank you all for your patience, for having stayed up so long. Thank you and bye-bye. I wish you all the best.